What's up, my exceptions? It's your mainception, Eliception here. I'll go ahead and warn you guys, if you're here to just see your character and don't care about me talking at all, first of all, that's kind of rude, man. Why would you do that, man? But I'll have some chapters down below where you can just skip to your character. Yeah, you can thank me later for all that. So, that all being said, today I'm going to be talking about Forsaken main stereotypes. I promise though that this isn't your average boring video with just gameplay. No, don't click off yet. Don't look. I'm sure you've seen it multiple times already with all these other stereotype videos. What your main says about you, and they really just talk about the gameplay and like, oh, this player's good, this player's not good. This is how this player plays. That gets on my nerves. It's honestly like really annoying, and I want to do something different. I want to have an actually unique video. So that being said, I figured I'd give myself a little twist. Instead of just focusing on the playstyle, I'm going to be analyzing you and your personality based on who you play. My opinions will probably include a bit of positivity and negativity to balance things out, and I'll be mixing gameplay techniques alongside personality judgments, as this is a stereotype video about the actual players who play them and not strictly these players do this in-game type of video. However, at the end of the day, this is just educated guesses on my part. You know, no harm if the stereotype doesn't apply to you. All that means is, well, I was wrong in judging you, which, you know, perfectly okay. It's a stereotype. Not everyone's gonna fit into that umbrella. And if you have a better idea on what you think the character's fan base is like, then leave me a comment below explaining your thoughts. And I'll be going in order of the character roster. Alright, my rambling's over. Let's go ahead and talk about the first character.
By the way, Taff was announced to release on March 29th when I recorded this. So he won't be included yet, as I need time to judge any new characters added. Also, let's get to 100 likes for part 2. Maybe sub while you're at it.
The Noob in Forsaken is characterized as timid and as a naive bystander. He's not really sure of himself at all or about the situation at hand. However, Noob mains are anything but cowards. They're fearless and mature individuals who take things carefully and are almost always one step ahead. Playing Noob requires careful forethought and planning, and if you're experienced with them, you know this fact more than anything else. However, when things don't go your way, you get majorly caught off guard, and that can lead to your detriment if you don't think quickly enough in time to reroute your strategy. Elliot players, in my experience, tend to fall into one of two camps. On one hand, you have the team players who will try and support you at every turn. They're usually quite kind and bubbly and very extroverted. You know, they might trust people to a fault. Without friends though, these players are just a little less independent and have a hard time standing on their own. Now, on the other hand, you have the Elliots who are just completely done with life. They've been burned one too many times by bad teammates and refuse to help most people. So they often go in solo, just doing generators and not really trusting anyone. But if they do find a solid teammate who's actually helping to carry the team, but in some work, they will become ride or die with that person. They will stick with them until the very end. The only downside is they have a hard time finding that specific person. If you're in the second camp, I don't know, maybe trust your teammates a little bit more. I'm gonna warn you guys right now, I wrote way too much for 2-time. This guy has one ability. What am I doing with my life? 2-time mains, in terms of personality anyway, they have some similarities with Elliot mains. And I say this in the fact that there are 2 types. A lot of 2-time players are surprisingly very outgoing and extroverted. They like hanging out in groups and just generally being very friendly. They don't have a hard time making pals and generally are actually a bit charismatic. Unlike the friendly Elliot players though, these 2-time players aren't usually ones to break when they're alone. However, they are habit followers. These guys might actually be the definition of insane because they'll do the same thing over and over and expect it to work. Kind of fitting for the deranged cultist character. Then you have the other half, who are actually a little bit introverted, though strangely they still seem to carry a bit of that hidden charm under their sleeve. Regardless, the second half tends to stray from the pack and work under the shadows. They do things for the team while the team's on the front lines, and if push comes to shove and they're backed against the wall, don't expect them to be as deranged as a friendly 2 times, because they will absolutely carry themselves. They're calm, collected, and they calculate everything in place to make their teammates proud. These older players do have a tendency to see themselves as a burden to the squad, however. They don't always ask help from their teammates when they desperately need it. If that's you, speak up a little bit more. Your teammates want to help you, so ask some help from your team if you need it. While guest players are a mixed bag in skill, they certainly aren't as much so in their personality. Guest mains tend to be the lovable goofballs of the group, doing silly shenanigans for their own entertainment and possibly making others watch in their little delusions. They're also pretty tough and resilient, having a will of a real soldier. However, guest mains can have a hard time focusing when things get serious. Think of them kind of as, the class clown, being dropped in the middle of an active war zone. Yeah, I think you can start to see why that might be such a detriment. They're kind of the embodiment of, that meme where it's born a dally-dally, forced to lock in. But those of you who do know how to lock in, please, just leave me alone. You're scary. I just want to live it. Please. You are a mature, maternal figure who... Okay, no, I'm joking. These players, when starting the round, have gone to the other side of the map faster than 007 and 7 forgot his own son. These guys are the quintessential masters of deception when faced with a dilemma, constantly trying to play mind games on their unfortunate victims that have to deal with their antics. Now, whether they fall for these mind games is a different story. That's kind of it. 007 and 7 mains rely so much on getting in their opposition's head that it can start to become a little predictable. I say this as a 007 main myself. These guys have such a fun time reveling in their victory that they can often forget that they've only won the battle and not the war. So if you're one of these guys, remember to stay focused until it's over. Insert funny comment about Shedletsky mains missing their sword/heal. Okay, but in all seriousness, Shedletsky mains might have a bit of an ego. They kinda imagine themselves as a hero and want to be relied on as a valuable MVP, but they might not always have the skill to back themselves up. And when their moment of glory is stolen from them via a whiff or a misplay, they start to cower in the corner as they flee from the consequences. Things aren't all bad though. They can still be extremely competent when the team coordinates their attacks and are decently strong at holding out independently while they wait for backup. Just make sure they get that backup. They can't do everything by themselves. Builderman. Builderman, where do I begin? I'm not. Next section. Got you, didn't I? And if you just skipped here using the chapters, go rewind. I swear it was funny. Do it now! Anywho, Builderman mains tend to be a bit of a wild bunch. It's a little difficult for me to categorize them all outside of each one certainly wanting to contribute to the team. Builderman players tend to rely on their own abilities a bit too much though, and are glued to their sentry nest. They sometimes ignore their teammates when needed most because they're dead set on making a nest and not abandoning it unless absolutely necessary. They might have a bit of a stubborn nature, which can be both a good thing and a bad thing. On one hand, if something isn't broken, you shouldn't fix it. But on the other hand, sometimes that thing is broken, and you do need to fix it, which is not that hard, bro. Just go to another spot. Aside from their stubbornness, they do have an extraordinary sense for potential and are great at scoping out how to do things most efficiently. Most of you Dussekars desperately want to lend your aid, but you tend to get the worst luck at the set of rounds and end up getting chased by the killer for like 2 minutes straight and then dying. But enough about the sad reality of the game, let's talk about the players themselves. For one, I bet half of you watching this video didn't notice that I misspelled his name in the chapter. Go on. go pause the video, go look again. See, I put in an extra S and left out a K. So, if you're commenting about that, no, that was intentional. And if you figured that out before I said it, good job. That's why Dussekar players like you are wonderful. You're detail-oriented, observant, and can figure out solutions to strange issues when given the proper time. The only issue is, people don't often give you that time. So, good luck with that.
Let's go gambling! Aw, dang it!
You're probably a very laid-back and relaxed person. Stress rolls off your back just like a bad night at the poker table. You know when to fold and when to hold 'em. That can be a necessary judgment in general. However, when the odds aren't in your favor, you shouldn't expect everything to go as planned. A lot of you keep up those negative emotions bottled up inside you when you lose, and eventually, it kind of explodes like a misfiring revolver. Is that too much on the nose? Oh well. Props to you for using the funny RNG character. And yeah, that's kinda all I had for this video, so if you liked it, make sure to like the video, of course, and maybe subscribe and give me a bit of motivation to start uploading more. Please, I did really appreciate it. Please subscribe, please. That's kinda it from me though, so yeah, see you guys around.